Will you meet to order? Pledge of allegiance and one for silence. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We have no anticipated executive session, so we'll jump right into, are there any announcements this evening?
No announcements from the district?
How about, student highlights?
We have a student highlight from the elementary building today.
So this is Emmy Opal, a third grader, who is very excited to join you tonight to showcase some of what is happening in our library with our third grade classes. Chrissy, can you pull? Yep, please. Thank you. So, Mrs. Newmeyer, our school librarian, has been working with our third grade classrooms to do some projects collaborating books with STEAM projects. So Emmy and I are here tonight to talk to you about a few of them. There's been lots of different ways that they're using books in the library. Go ahead, Gracie. And one of the ones that Emmy's going to showcase tonight is based around a series of books that are over on the left-hand side of the screen called Who Would Win? So what the classes did is they worked with partners, and they'll let Emmy talk in a minute, and they had two different animals, and they merged the animals together to create a new animal and talk about who would win. So Emmy, you want to talk a little about what that project was like and what you created?
I created, it's called a hooded dragon. It's a Komodo dragon and a cobra mixed together, and it makes the hooded dragon. The tail is meant for if someone tries to pull it, it can come off easy. And right here, it's meant to be able to like hear someone coming from far away. Right here is the hood and right here there's an eye on the back, so if it sees someone's coming, it can be able to pop out legs from it, so they running more easier than and then it like more than go all around with just no legs. And then when I looked at this like the spine for it, it had like empty spots in the middle, and it looked like it would be able to be really flexible. So we made it flexible that it can be able to like just make a circle on a tree. So if someone, if like it's getting hunted, like it can be able to like just go on something and turn into a circle. And then we did a part where it's a weakness and strengths. Some weaknesses on this one is that like it's like not able to see from the hood because there's like the hood is blocking its eyesight. So that's why we put the eye on the back. And then some strengths is that it's able to turn into a circle and it's able to just run away with it.
Wow. Great job for that. So like I said, Mrs. Newmeyer is really working with connecting books in the library with other kind of STEAM projects. Gracie, can you go to the next slide too? So during library, often the third graders have choice time. These are some of the choices that are offered during the kids after, a story time. There's puzzles. Mrs. Newmeyer says the puzzle table is extremely popular. There's challenges. It's hard to see right there, but that's a third grade class who worked on a challenge of creating maps for different places in the school, which was really great. There's some critical thinking games there. They also do some crafts. And then the last slide, Gracie, is, Emmy's going to talk a little more about that. They also work on engineering challenges. That's where we tie in our whole STEAM thing. And it's a little hard to see all of that, but up in the top left-hand corner, Emmy was telling me today about a tower they were building. Can you talk to them a little about that?
The tower is about like where you use tape, like old tape on old things, and then you build it up with and then you have to be able to put weight on it, so it would be able to stabilize.
Good job. And you can see there's some Lego ones, there's different kinds of building bridges. The top middle one is a bridge that the kids had to build to create something that would travel over it and something that would travel under it. So a lot of great things going on in the library with STEAM. You did a great job tonight, Emma. Thank you so much for being my co-chair. Maybe the board members want to ask Emmy anything?
I have a question, why did you pick those two animals?
Someone just gave us.
So you were assigned,
I think it looks terrific. And you explained yourself extremely well.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, great job. And these are hanging up all over the school, and so are the maps that were on the other ones, so kids in the other grade levels can see all the great work that the third graders have been doing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you want me to take that back or you want to take that back? Okay, thank you so much for coming, thank you so much for coming.
Alright, moving on to reports to the board, student representative.
So recently with the high school, we haven't had many events due to spring break, but we have had many members of the National Honor Society who have kickstarted their projects. We have Kendall Fernandez, who's raising money for the My Hands organization by selling bracelets. Vivian Giudice is conducting a blood drive for the Red Cross. And Julia Weinsteiger is creating record boards for the cross-country team, just to mention a few. Also, the girls' indoor track and field team was recognized yesterday for their 3-year win streak at sectionals. And as for upcoming events, we have students in Triumph participating in the Prism concert tomorrow. And we have the prom next Saturday, and the prom committee is adding their finishing touches. And then finally, we have coordination for the annual Apple Blossom Festival happening the first weekend of May. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Alright.
You know, we have this little book on this one.
Reports from district administrators.
Okay, so we're gonna go backwards tonight and start with Mr. Sutton.
Thank you. I just wanted to recognize our transportation department. Every 3 years, we have to undergo a DOT audit. Every school district has to do that. Ours came back with no findings, which is fantastic. That does not occur at all school districts, and even some districts see fines. We came back with no findings. That's fantastic. So thank you to our transportation department.
Awesome. Ms. Lippert.
Good evening. So tonight I just want to highlight Eric Waples. He is our BOCES Tech Integration Specialist who's with us part-time. And most recently this month, he has spent time in each of the buildings just working with teachers on AI and how AI is embedded in so many of the tools that we already use. And just kind of like showcasing some of the features that they can then integrate within their instruction. And he has also been highly advertising, as you saw a few board meetings ago, the BOCES STEM lending library of all kinds of just great pieces of technology that can really bring the curriculum alive for our students. So just a huge kudos to him for all the work he's done this year, working with our teachers and our students. He's done a really great job.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Saxby.
Just a few couple of highlights. I think I'm gonna bring Emmy to every meeting though, because she did a great job. We started the New York State ELA assessment today and tomorrow. Third and fourth graders are working on that. Just want to say a big thank you to all the staff who rally together and come together. It's a lot of work to make the day happen, and kids worked really hard. I'm really proud of them. And the other thing, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we are starting to gear up to prep for summer school. Tomorrow I have a meeting with Marianne. We do the joint summer school where we've had teacher applicants, so tomorrow we'll go through the list and make some recommendations for hires. We've already sent out recommendations to our teachers, so we're starting to get that information back in. The goal is to get that ready and solidified by the end of May. Hard to believe we're there already.
Years flown by.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. I have 2 areas that I'd like to recognize. One, I'd like to recognize our 6th grade team. We had a few staffing changes last year and some retirements. Our 6th grade team, they have become perhaps our most cohesive team at this point. They are working together, they are becoming problem solvers, And so, and they really are starting to bond as friends, et cetera. So I just want to say they're doing an outstanding job and working hard for kids and communicating. And the second highlight is I'd like to recognize our MTSS Tier 1 team. They worked hard for our Friday event of the Middle School Olympics. And so they designed the events and facilitated it, so we had a great day after our testing on Friday. So.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Avery.
Good evening. I have a few highlights to share. Just this week, Mr. Prey, along with Patrick in facilities, and our some of our science folks, so Mrs. Murphy, Dr. Van Neal, and Matt Elliott met and scoped out the courtyard as a site for a greenhouse that we're able to purchase with some grant funding. So I want to thank them for all of the thought that went into the planning of that. It's a big endeavor. We're excited to see what will come from it. We are getting new carpet in the library. So anybody who's been in the library in the last 50 years, you will be well acquainted with it because it has been basically the same, it is a hazard for anyone who wants to walk about freely. So it started to go down today, so we're very excited about that. Thanks to our library staff who have been very much displaced. Right before break, we had our senior egg hunt, so I want to thank Heather and Patty who came to support from PTSA for that event. It's always very lively. And we are also having planning meetings for summer school, so we have a regional Western Wayne Summer School Academy, and it is finally our turn once again to host, so we will be hosting this year and next year.
So summer school at the high school.
Yep.
Get ready. So a very brief update for me. I just want to remind everybody that we continue to seek volunteers to help with the trail work in the woods right behind the middle school that way. We have about 50 acres back there that we're trying to develop and make more accessible to our students and our community. So on Saturday, it's our first trail volunteer work day. We want people to bring rakes and wheelbarrows, and we have wood chips that we're trying to spread over the trails to make them easier to navigate. I want to thank Brian Hoodie and Jason Beardsley, who are two woods expert people, and they have so much knowledge about how to groom the trails and place the trails, and they've been helping us a lot. And I want to thank Stacy Harrison, Karen Hoodie, Aaron Rowley, and Michael Prey, who have volunteered to be point people on our volunteer days. So if you're interested in helping out with that, there is a sign up on our parent square, just so we know how many snacks to get for people that come and help. That's it for me.
Thank you. Moving on to district committee reports. So you got 2 assessment committees. Is there anything to report?
They are meeting more often now and have a lot of work, but it's, I think, really good discussion about what the grade stands for academically and then work habits wise, and all 3 schools are working on a rubric that works through each building, but measures the same for work habits through, and they grow as they go on. So I think it's gonna be it's a good process, I think, and it'll be good overall for our school in years to come.
That'll help standardize things a little bit more. Great, thank you. Alright, moving on to district events. Good Friday was March 29th, spring recess was April 1st to the 8th, and then the end of the 30-week marching period was just on the 12th, right? Four County School Board Association, we have a legislative committee meeting on April 13th, and then the annual meeting is on May 16th at Club 86. We went, Angela, MG, you and I went to the annual meeting last year, right? It was really great, so if anybody wants to attend, the teacher of the year being recognized is a music teacher, I believe, this year. So I think you probably got the emails from Sue, but if you want to attend, let Kelly know, so she can get us registered for that. PTSA, report for PTSA tonight? Okay. Alright, board reports. I need a motion to approve the CSE case summaries as presented. So,
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Alright, treasurer's report. I need a motion to approve the February treasurer's reports. So,
Second.
any discussion?
Pretty typical month, the only unusual things I would say, we had $162,000 worth of debt service payment. Other than that, typical payroll, health insurance, deductions coming out of there. On the revenue side, we had the collection of our, the county sales tax, which was approximately $397,000, so, that continues to be an important source of revenue
That's
for us.
that sales tax piece that the county continues to toy with taking
Toy.
away from schools, right?
Correct. Yes, so we never know exactly what it's gonna be, but it's kind of based on enrollment. I'll actually talk about that a little bit, but so we did receive it this year and hope to continue receiving it.
Good.
It's important for us.
Will we get notification if they choose to pull that, or we just won't get
I
it?
don't know.
So, we talk about it as a Wayne County Superintendent's group all the time. Schools have come to count on that funding. That burden would shift to taxpayers if the county didn't continue to get it. And the benefit of that is it's sales tax, right? So it's coming from people who don't necessarily live in the county but are going through, stopping to get gas or whatever. So we are one of the only counties that currently have something like that in place. So every once in a while, the county board does talk about it and try to determine whether it's something they want to continue or not. If it is a topic of discussion and they start to investigate other options, the superintendents would be involved in those conversations.
Thank you. Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Alright, winter sports report. Turtle.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for helping me come in and highlight our winter athletes. Before we get started, I'd just like to give a couple shout outs. Kayla Yarrow, who has been up at the high school and is the faculty advisor, helping me out this year has been awesome. She's great. She's kept my sanity most of the winter months while she's up there. And I just really appreciate her help. She's helped me, upgrade everything, get things digitalized and making sure our awards are ready to go come June. I also like to give a shout out to Chuck O'Neill and all his help throughout the years, and his department, and Vicky and Barb, who have taken over and helped me out the last couple weeks. Because back in the day, they used to say, when I coached basketball, that the winter season used to be the longest. Well, it's actually the first 2 weeks of April that are the longest because of all the cancellations. So I've been on the phone a lot with them and going back and forth with emails, but I do appreciate them helping me out and getting our kids to where they need to be. I'd like to give Patrick Poyer and Andy Cantwell and Gary a shout out for all the changes that have happened. We lost 2 flag football games to schools that didn't have fields ready. In return, they got our fields ready, so we were able to play, and a couple last minute changes at the Town Park to get our fields ready for baseball. I do appreciate them, as always, getting our things ready for our kids to play. I also wanna thank Carrie Forster from Brownstone, who does our athletic training, Kristen Brandt, and our flag football fans and our team and our coaches who, kept it cool and under control at a pretty serious incident that happened Monday. It is appreciated, and we do practice our emergency action plan, and that came into play. But I did talk to the athletic director at Rock Prep, and the young lady that needed help is okay. We're just think about them and everyone pulled together and make sure everything's taken care of. So just wanted to mention that. Shout out and our supervisors, Mary Jo and Kelly Dixon, they're helping out to control and getting the ambulance down to the field. So it is appreciated. All right, on to the athletic report. Our first team up is girls basketball. Our varsity head coach is Beth Brennan. They had an overall record of 13-9. They had 12 participants. We are combined with Marion for girls basketball. Our junior varsity coach is Kristen Campbell with a 3-11 record. They had 10 participants. And we had enough for 2 modified programs this year, which was great. From last year when we had 7, 8 kids playing, we bumped those numbers up to 21. And Ian Thomas and Joanna Alexander were the coaches of those 2 teams. And the varsity girls team is a New York State Public High School Athletic Association Scholar Athlete team, meaning 75% of the whole team had a 90 or above average. Girls basketball postseason awards, we had Elizabeth Brandt, first team Wayne County All-Star. Kate Campbell is the first team Wayne County All-Star. Elizabeth Brandt and Emma Taylor were both Wayne Finger Lakes Exceptional Senior Game, that was in Geneva, which was awesome to see. And they won the Central Western Board of Girls Basketball Official Sportsmanship Award. So we have that banner that we'll be doing up at our gym. And that's a huge highlight. If we can't get a sectional banner, that's what we want to get. So sportsmanship award, very important. Boys basketball, varsity head coach was Jason Semmel. They had a 6-11 record. Number of participants 10. JV coach Andy Mahanwal with a record of 3-13. Number of participants 12. So we're keeping our numbers pretty steady. We also had enough kids to have 2 modified basketball teams for the winter. Ian Thomas and Dylan France both took the helm of our modified program, and it's awesome to see those numbers for our program who also struggled with numbers in the past. So hopefully our basketball program can keep steady and offer some things in the off season to get them playing more. Our exceptional senior was Jordan Genge, and he was also honorable mention all week. Indoor track, we had Carl Comstock as the head coach, at 18 boys and 24 girls. The assistant was Jeff Van Hoover, and they were also the New York State Scholar Athlete team. The girls indoor track were the Wayne Finger Lakes Division I champions and also the Section 5 Class A4 sectional champions for the 3rd year in a row. Gracie was on the team, give a little shout out. Elizabeth Grant, sectional champion of long and triple jump, first team Wayne Finger Lakes in the 55 long and triple jump. There was a lot, so just bear with me with girls indoor track. It was the first Williamson indoor track athlete to compete in 2 events at states. 5th place in the long, 13th place in the triple, all Greater Rochester. News 8 Primetime 585 Elite Award, which was last night, and it's going to be replayed, I believe, on Saturday. So if you're, I don't have the time off the top of my head, but stay tuned and they will replay what happened last night. 8 p.m. Okay, thank you. And she set school records in the long and triple jump, which were also Wayne Finger Lake records in both events. Julia Van Laer was a sectional champion in shot, first team Wayne Finger Lake shot and weight throw, school record shot and weight throw, league championship in the field event MVP. And the governor's sectional championship of the 1,000, 1,500, and 3,000, first team Wayne Finger Lakes in all 3 events. School record in the 1,000, and she was also a News 8 Primetime 585 Elite Award winner, which was last night. The girls 4x400 relay, Section 5 champs, Hayden Wing, Ryan Hoodie, Maddie Nessel, and McKenna Watson. The girls 4x200 relay was the first team in Wayne Finger Lakes League. School record with Maddie Nessel, Madison Story, Sarah Niles, and Lauren Schmelk. Maddie Story, first team Wayne Finger Lakes high jump. Natalie Schmelk, sectional champion of the race walk, second team Wayne Finger Lakes. Lily Jacobs, third team Wayne Finger Lakes 3,000 meter, third team 4x800 relay of Hannah Governor, Lily Jacobs, Brie O'Neill, and Julie Weinschreider. And Alyssa Leedy was third team in the long jump, second team Hayden Wing in the pole vault, Alyssa Leedy in the 300 meters. Sorry, that was a lot. So hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, I would post letters. That's a lot. It's a great season for the girls indoor track team. Boys indoor track, they had boys the 4x400 relay, Section 5 Class 4A champions of Ben Burns, Keenan Murray, and Moses Arteaga Martinez. Colin Burgraff, and it was the second team Wayne Finger Lakes League. Wayne Finger Lakes second team was the 4x400 relay of Caden Hilliger, Ben Burns, Colin Burgraff, and Keenan Murray. Sorry, that's a misprint, it's Keenan Murray, sorry. Wayne Finger Lakes third team was the 4x800 relay of Zach Froelicler, Moses Arteaga Martinez, Hayden McVeigh, and Ben Burns. And the school record in the 4x200 of Caden Hilliger, Nate Burns, Hayden Heigler, and Keenan Murray. Wrestling head coach is Jason Charlotte with the 5-6 record. Number of participants 16, combined with Marion this season. And the modified head coach was Andrea Gable with a number of modified participants of 21. So those numbers are climbing as well. Second team all-league is Eldo Resendez, Eddie Towsey, John Hollingshead from Marion, and Zachary Keeling from Marion. Swimming with SOTUS was head coach Mike Considine with a 2-5 record. Number of participants, they had 13. A lot from Williamson, they're a New York State Scholar Athlete team. Will Reinschreider, first team in the 100 breaststroke and the 100 free. Matt Hogg was second team 100 fly, and he won the Wayne County Sportsmanship Award. Records for girls with Bella Bierce in the 53, boys Will Weinschreider 50 free, 100 free, and 100 breast, and Matt Hogg in the 200 medley and the 100 fly. And then we round out with bowling with SOTUS. Our head coach is Richard Bounds. We had 9 Williamson participants. Brianna Bounds, Joanne Catalano, and Landon Rowley were all Wayne County League All-Stars. And that was it for the women's sport report, and I'll be back in a couple months with the spring sports report.
Before you know it,
Yeah.
what great outcomes for all the
Really,
teams
it was
this
great, it was
winter.
awesome, just to see the number of kids participate, and giving those kids opportunities, it's great to see, hopefully continue that.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
No, thank you.
Hopefully the weather breaks here in a little bit, and we get some games, I was talking yesterday, there's like 13 or something games to get in 20 something days now, so it's gonna be a lot of back-to-backs, but we'll find a way to get it done. Thank you for letting me come, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the most
Thank you,
thrilling part of the
Gracie.
evening, the budget presentation. Mr. Sutton.
Thank you.
That's pressure right there.
Oh, I can handle it. Go ahead, get you up to the next slide. First off, I just want to give a quick update of the state's budget. The state does have a conceptual agreement, I think is what they said. But of course, nothing is final until the bills get signed into place. This conceptual agreement allegedly does have some restoration of foundation aid. And this is already gonna be accounted for in this presentation that you see tonight. Other than that, we really haven't had a lot of significant changes since our budget workshop. And also much of this presentation will be a preview of the upcoming community hearing as well as the budget newsletter that will go out to the community. So overall tonight, we're gonna go over funding sources and the detailed comparisons year over year. And we're gonna go over the expenditure budget expressed as the New York State required 3-part budget. And finally, the ballot propositions. So first up is the revenue side of the budget. This slide shows a chart which summarizes a breakdown of the district's funding sources. There are 4 primary funding sources we rely on for the district's revenue side. State aid, or specifically foundation aid, and other expense-driven aids make up approximately 51% of the revenue side, while real property taxes and district's pilot agreements make up about 43%. The remaining 6% is made up of the district's share of the sales taxes that we just talked about, other miscellaneous sources of funding like earned interest, and finally the use of fund balance and reserves, which is roughly 3% of the district's funding sources.
Does this stay pretty regular? Most years,
Yeah, you're gonna see that, it is very regular, I'll actually mention that coming up. It's kind of what you can expect to see, I'll speak to that. Thank you. So to break down our revenue further, you'll see that state aid is increasing $787,000. The majority of the state aid increase is directly related to building aid, which is the result of capital projects. We see an increase in other local revenues of approximately $221,000. This is related to increased depository interest rates, as well as increases for billings related to out-of-district placements for students who attend Williamson. Property taxes is increasing $295,960. This increase is tax cap compliant and represents a 2.48% growth in the tax levy. Wayne County sales tax remains the same. This is based on enrollment in comparison to other districts. So the assumption here is that each district enrollment is changing and ours is changing, but we're probably all changing steadily compared to one another. Finally, we see some small decreases for pilots and federal reimbursements remains the same, so the total increase in our true funding sources is approximately $1,304,000, with the largest piece of that coming from New York State building aid related to those capital projects. Next, we look at how we use reserves and fund balance to bridge the gap, to make ourselves whole, so to speak. Because Williamson did not see increases to its foundation aid, a heavier reliance of reserves and appropriated fund balance is required. Overall, the use of reserves and fund balance is approximately up approximately $300,000, with the majority of that coming from debt service reserve. Use of reserves and fund balance is always something that we want to be mindful of to ensure that we're not eroding the financial stability away from the district. As presented in our budget workshop, Williamson has utilized this level of reserves in the past when foundation aid has fallen short or New York State has struggled to balance its budget. There is very serious conversations about New York State reconfiguring foundation aid, investigating how to make that more equitable across districts. But we are comfortable with this level of use for the 24-25 school year. Next, we're gonna look at the expenditure side of the budget. Go ahead. So again, the expenditure side is consistent with what has already been presented, and this slide does a nice job depicting how district funds are utilized. The instructional component of the budget represents all teacher salaries, student supports, instructional technology, purchases of instructional materials, curriculum, BOCES programs, and all of that is about 49% of the expenditure costs. Employee benefits, which is health insurance, contributions to retirement system like the employee retirement system, teacher retirement system, are approximately 1/4 of the budget footprint. So in any given school budget, like you just asked, across the state, it's not uncommon to see instructional costs combined with employee benefits make up about 75% of all expenditures, and that certainly holds true in this model. The general support component of the budget represents buildings and grounds, infrastructure, central services, human resources, financial administration, legal costs, compliance, governance costs, and this represents approximately 12% of our budget footprint. And then finally, debt service, 7%, transportation, 5%, and interfund transfers, 1% account for the remainder of the expenditures. So as we look at the administrative component of the three-part budget, well, first let me back up. So looking at the three-part budget is required by New York State. The state requires us to break down components of the budget into one of three parts, whether it's an administrative component, a program component, or a capital component. So as we look at this administrative component, we can see it's pretty consistent comparison year over year with an approximately 0.06% decrease overall as a total percentage of total budget. The most noteworthy changes here are related to increased cost for BOCES. So we talk about that a lot. Increased BOCES costs can mean different things. It can mean personnel that Williamson shares with other districts to take advantage of cost savings, or it can be the cost of various goods and services. For example, various softwares and hardwares like printers and servers can mean the cost associated with running and operating a BOCES, so we all chip in and pay for that BOCES that you see indoor. The advantage here is that the district does receive BOCES aid on all of these BOCES costs. And as always in this section, we're seeing an increase for contractual costs, for salary increases, and benefits as well. And really the next slide is just a summary in case somebody wants to come back. I can't fit everything on one slide, it's a lot of information to give, so this is really just a summary, or if somebody wants to come back and look at that, those are the highlights.
And I think it's worth noting here that our budget presentations are available on our website.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can look back at the budget presentations from when we start them around January through now and see how they develop.
Yep. That's a good point. Keep going next. Thank you. The program component is the largest of the three-part budget, and it houses all our regular instruction, programs for students with disabilities and occupational education, special services, which a lot of these things you might not know what's in there, so that's librarians, nurses, counselors, psychs, social workers, etc. Houses instructional technology, co-curriculars and athletics, transportation, and benefits. Essentially all the costs of delivering programs and services to students and the associated staffing and transportation and benefits in doing that. Fiscal responsibility is a pillar of our strategic plan, and with this in mind, our administration team is continuously evaluating the needs of the district while also ensuring that we're being fiscally responsible to our community. As you can see by the numbers, we are seeing a decrease of 1.76% of total budget in the program area. Some of the decreases here are the result of the discontinuation of positions based on enrollment numbers and retirements. Many districts across the region have been required to make challenging decisions about their staffing, and Williamson is certainly not isolated from this. Other items to note in the program component are increases to programs for students with disabilities to maintain legally mandated compliance to student IEPs, as well as increases to transportation for out-of-district placements. And finally, again, we do have the typical contractual increases for salary and benefits that are certainly impactful to a budget. Again, that slide before is just a summary of some of the things I mentioned. Finally, the last part of the three-part budget, the capital component houses the operation and maintenance of our buildings and grounds, associated benefits, and where the debt service from previous capital projects are placed. Noteworthy items in operation and maintenance are the continued use for security personnel and the continued use for security camera updates. There is a local aid available up to $35,000 every single year for camera replacements. Again, while an expenditure like that does increase the budget, it also increases the revenue side. So this is the first year we have started using some of that $35,000 to replace cameras on some of our buildings, which has been nice. So we will see that aid next year.
And that's that 35,115. The 35 is in that.
The 35 is built within that number, yes. Yep. The biggest increase here is for debt service. So in December of 2023, the district signed a short-term borrowing called a BAND, or a bond anticipation note, for the work being performed in the current capital project. This signing was a planned borrowing and is the $700,000 increase in debt service you see here. This debt service has a direct building aid revenue stream tied to it, which I'm going to speak about in a moment. Finally, the capital component also makes continued use of the $100,000 capital outlay. So every single year, New York State allows school districts to receive up to $100,000 of aid for a capital outlay. With this budget, the high school will undergo work to renovate the gymnasium floor due to deteriorating conditions, as well as provide a window film that mitigates sun glare and UV rays. The advantage here is that this district can do smaller project and receive aid the following year, so we're not just spending money and not getting anything back for that work. So that's the idea there.
And as mentioned earlier, the library carpeting is the capital outlay project for
from
this
last
year,
year.
so that is that the public voted on last year.
You could just stay on the next slide for just 2 seconds. This slide again summarizes what we just discussed, shows a picture of the gym floor. A district's high school gym floor is often one of the most used spaces in any district. You know, during the day classes are held, then we have practices, then we have nighttime sporting events, and as well as, you know, used by our community partners on the weekend. So it's a high traffic area, it sees a lot of use. And certainly with a high level of use comes, a need to, make sure that we're taking care of it and replacing and refurbishing it. So if you jump to the next slide, there's just some more pictures I threw on here. You can see it doesn't really show up super well in the camera. I tried to get it so people could see. We have board separation, bleacher impact, where it actually is wearing some grooves down into the wood, and that just happens over time. Delamination, you could really see the delamination too in the prior slide, in the prior picture, but also some pitting and indentations in the floor. And, so those would be things that we could help refurbish essentially.
And we're really fortunate because if you don't know a lot about gym floors, they have a lifespan. And the way they're maintained is at certain points, like we're proposing to do here, you grind them down, take care of all of those surface blemishes and resurface it. But there comes a point where you can't grind it down anymore. And then you have to do a full replacement, which is very costly. So we have at least one more time when we can attend to our high school gym floor through this process, which will give us, I think it's been 20 years since it was done.
It's been a while, I'm not exactly sure.
More than that.
Yeah.
So
and if you've
it
seen
lasts
the
a while.
middle school one, we had to fix with the flooding, obviously, so hopefully it would be to that caliber.
Ours is beautiful.
Yes.
We're all jealous of
Yeah.
So it's after every.
Honestly, I'm most excited about the film.
The film, I should speak to that, the film is an issue. I was at a girls volleyball game and I was sitting there and the sunlight was just
It's terrible.
blinding,
That one
the
little
referee couldn't
especially.
see, the players couldn't see, and I said it would be nice if we could do something about that, so, yes.
It is included.
Yeah, it's tough when the ref can't. Thank you, go ahead, next one. As we look at the three-part budget summary comparison, we see that the capital component has the largest change due to the current capital project that's underway. This was a project approved by voters back in December of 2021. The capital component includes approximately $700,000 of planned new debt that is offset by that direct funding stream in building aid. In other words, like I said with the cameras, expenditures go up, revenues go up to help offset that increase. So why is that important? Year over year, we have budget growth of 5.9%. That's important because any year that a district introduces new debt, you're gonna have a larger than normal increase to the budget. Much of that 5.9% growth is tied to the structured growth for debt service of $700,000. This debt growth has a direct aid tied to it, which increases the revenue side of the budget. A more true budget growth percentage tied to actual out-of-pocket costs would be about 3.37%, which is actually falls below inflation. Go ahead. Thanks. So next up are ballot propositions. So proposition number 1 is simply the budget. Voter approval is necessary for the budget to be implemented and move forward. If the budget is defeated, then we would hold a second vote or consider a contingency budget, which would remove certain programs, purchases, and services. Proposition number 2 is a bus purchase proposition, includes legal language as to the value of the buses after trade-in, as well as how much is going to be allocated out of our bus purchase reserve. So explaining the why the district receives transportation aid on roughly 81.5% of total purchase value absent trade-ins. Using reserves to purchase buses saves money associated with high interest rates when borrowing. It also saves money on bond rating fees, fiscal advisor fees, and legal fees. So essentially, we're replacing buses more regularly on a 5-year cycle, which means they're always covered under a warranty. There's fewer general maintenance repairs. They're continuously generating state aid. When their life is up, they come with a higher resale or trade-in value, as well as regularly placing our students on buses that have updated safety features, right? Like every 5 years, we're replacing it, we're getting newer buses are safer than older buses, obviously.
And I think it's really important, we can't stress enough the importance of and the thoughtfulness of purchasing things that generate aid, right?
Yes.
So that's extremely important because it is on the expenditure side, but for every $100 you spend, you get $85 back in aid in the revenue side. So we're very thoughtful about trying to do that as much as we can with buses, with BOCES, with capital work. All of those things generate aid, and so we want to be very thoughtful about doing as much as we can in that realm to continue to generate revenue.
Thank you. Proposition number 3 is for the creation of a bus purchase reserve. The creation of this allows the district to reserve any unspent operating funds and apply them toward future bus purchases. These reserves work to ensure that scheduled bus replacements will not require additional property tax levy increases for capital expenses, as well as saves the district, again, money on interest rates for borrowing and all the associated loan costs mentioned on the previous slide. That's it. Questions?
Thank you, Jeff. Alright, capital project update.
So you have the capital project update in front of you. I don't know if you have any questions, we're plugging along. It looks like both playgrounds may be done if weather is cooperative before the end of May, which is so exciting. We're gonna plan on doing a ribbon cutting ceremony for them. Another really exciting piece of the project that's moving along really well right now are the bathrooms up at the snack shack. So I don't know if anybody went to the track meet or any of the flag football games. You'll see there are 3 doors cut into the snack shack. The walls are going up, the plumbing is in, so no more porta potty like that. We're just so excited to be able to do that. So the water line has been run. Again, the goal is to have that up and ready for graduation. The cafeteria work at the elementary school is moving right along as well. Again, we're anticipating an end of year completion of that portion of the project. But over the summer, we will continue the work with the middle school bathroom renovations, the finalization of the middle school auditorium, and the univents. So all classrooms and most classrooms in the middle school and elementary school are getting new, more efficient univents for heating. And they are also retrofitted for cooling, which down the road, we may be able to implement through another capital project. So I don't know if you have any questions about any of that. It's really exciting.
Sounds great.
It's looking good too.
The ladybug is up, I saw that today and I was really excited.
Thank you. Alright, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items 5B through 5F as recommended by the superintendent. Any discussion here? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Alright, old business. I need a motion to approve the removal of the policies as listed by recommendation of the school attorney. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, I need a motion to approve the first reading of the policies listed below. So moved. Second. Any discussion here?
So, we've worked extensively on updating our 1000 series. One of the policies in that series happens to be public comment policy. There's been a lot of conversation about public comment. So we have our school attorney, Lindsay Plantholt here today to answer any questions you might have about that policy or the frequently asked questions document we created to go along with that, or the form that we're updating that goes along with that as well. Thanks for being here.
Sure. I can give you like an overview first, and then if you have questions after that. So, I think that FAQs are a helpful reference just for information on what we mean when we're talking about a public meeting. So it's not necessarily a meeting for the public to voice their opinions, right? It's a meeting of a public body, the Board of Education. Thinking about the role of the board and what the purpose of the meeting is, it's to conduct district business. And so we wanna be thinking about sort of what's district business and then what are things that are more of a day-to-day function for building administrators, teachers, other staff members. So keeping in mind the chain of command and what's appropriate to discuss at a board meeting versus what would be appropriate if there's a concern more at the building level or the day-to-day level, that would be handled by a teacher or an administrator first, for efficiency, and it's just a more effective way to handle issues. Just for the public's benefit, there are many different ways to contact the Board of Education if you do have concerns. Public comment period during a board meeting is one of those ways, but there's email, you can submit questions in writing, things like that. So there's different ways that we can reach out to board members when there's questions or concerns. And then I think finally, there's been questions about public comment being or not being live streamed, and from the legal perspective, part of the reason of that is there's legal limitations on what can be disclosed publicly about employees and about students and private information. And so part of the reason not to live stream a public comment is inadvertently perhaps violating those rules by someone talking about a private matter in public comment period. So that's one of the reasons we do that, as well as potentially offensive content that may happen during that time period. And why the board doesn't answer questions during that public comment period, really the purpose of that comment period is to allow the general public and community members to voice opinions or ask questions, but because the board, by law, you can only act as a body, right? You can't take unilateral action as an individual board member. The board acts as a group. And so when questions come in from community members, we want the board to have time to consider those questions, maybe get some additional information to inform the response and make sure you're providing, an accurate response to any questions or concerns. And so the board will take those questions under advisement, take the time to speak with administrators if need be, and then provide a response later when appropriate. Those were kind of the big issues I wanted to highlight from the FAQs, and I'm happy to.
Thank you. I have a couple questions, I think. The first is, we've used the same public comment language in our board packet for quite some time. And I'm curious to know, if you don't have an answer tonight, that's okay, but I'm curious to know if this falls in line with what many other districts in our area are using. Is ours unique? We don't go to other board meetings, probably it would be better practice to probably go, but curious to know where we kind of fall.
Yeah, so I would say this is pretty standard language regarding public comment period. There may be some variations in how long individuals are allowed to speak. Sometimes it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it sort of depends on the volume sometimes, but I would say, 10 minutes for public comment period, that's pretty average. Sometimes, they'll expand it if there is more interest in public comment, but I'd say that's pretty standard. And sort of the rules are also pretty typical for a public comment period. So again, not responding directly to questions, following up after meetings. This is the same for any school district because they're all bound by state and federal laws relating to student privacy and employee privacy. So that prohibition on private information is going to be standard for any board. And I would say also the language about the district code of conduct. So I think that's an important thing to highlight, that remarks need to be kept civil, on topic, appropriate. Everyone is here, to be respectful and courteous to each other, and so that is a pretty standard language. And I think it may vary whether the topics, but generally keeping the public comment period to agenda items is also a common restriction. And again, that goes back to the purpose of a board meeting. So you're here to conduct public business.
You wanna keep things on topic, and so keeping things limited to the agenda is important in order that we can conduct business efficiently.
Thank you. I have one other question. So we've had more public participants than we've had in a long time. And so we ran into something in our last meeting where somebody yielded time to another. Is that typical? We've never had that before, so I'm just curious how that.
Yeah, so the language, so sometimes if there's a topic that's garnered a lot of interest, or if there are multiple individuals from one organization or one group, for example, sometimes the board might ask them to pick one speaker so that it's not repetitive, you're not hearing the same comment over and over again, and you're giving others the opportunity to speak on different topics. I think in terms of yielding time, I don't know that your language prohibits it necessarily. I think you would have to follow the rules for sign up. I think if people only speak for a minute and they wanna let someone else take a turn, that's okay. Again, it's all within that total 10-minute time period, so whoever has the time to speak.
And we, I would say, have rarely cut, people who wanna hear what they're going to say, but we just wanna make sure, there's so many, our school law book that we get is so gigantic, and it's hard to, I appreciate this, and we've been going through these policies for 4 years since refresh. And so this is the last batch, is the 1000s. And this would be my second time going through our policy refresh, and I learn something new every time we do this. You've been through it more than me.
And I think we've been really fortunate with public comment. Our community is wonderful and we want to hear what they have to say, but I think there's often questions about why can't it be a question and answer or things like that. So I think it's really nice to have the conversation so we can all understand better the rules.
And there are other opportunities for the public to get information, whether it's, public hearings on things like the code of conduct or the safety plan or the SRO agreement, there's a lot of different opportunities where the public can ask more of a Q&A type of event, but again, the purpose of the board meeting is to conduct business, and so we want to, limit the public comment in that way. So.
And to that end, for anybody that's here, if you're gonna continue to come, the budget hearing is next board meeting, I think the 8th, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So the 8th is a hearing, that's an opportunity to ask questions and get answers.
Mary Grace, can you talk to maybe what happens when someone does have public comment, what notes that are taken and responses that are given?
So all of our board meetings are recorded. When people make public comments, I take notes. I know multiple people, you might take notes. And then we try to follow up with people as necessary. Sometimes people are just saying something and there's really no follow-up, they just want to make their perspective known. But if it's a question or if it seems like there's a confusion about practice or procedure, we do our best to follow up, either with a meeting or in writing if that's what people prefer.
Do you have anything else? No? Lindsay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Lindsay. I know you have a drive.
You don't need me for anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, moving on to new business. I need a motion to approve the resolution for the destruction of paper ballots for the May 16th, 2023 annual meeting and Board of Education election.
Second.
Any discussion?
I wanna know if that includes the ballots for the playground equipment too.
Doesn't have to, because it wasn't an official election, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Who gets to burn those or shred those or? administrators.
Board clerk.
Board clerk. We need a motion to approve Olive as a therapy dog at the high school. So moved.
It's your big moment.
This is
Yay.
Olive. Yeah.
Introduce us to Olive.
Sure, I'll come over here. So this is Olive. She is, she is a 6-month-old golden doodle, and she has gone to a residential program for therapy, dog training, and she passed her test on Monday. I passed my test as well. And she has been something I have wanted on my professional bucket list since I got my degree many moons ago. And she's here, and she's excited. Hopefully, everyone.
Mary, why don't you introduce yourself? I don't know.
Oh
if
yeah, I'm
everybody
so
will know.
sorry. I'm Mary Weil, I'm school counselor at the high school. And this is Olive.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming to the meeting and bringing your.
Thank you,
Awesome.
yes. Can you say hi?
It makes it very hard to like vote no.
That was planned. I hope everyone felt more relaxed with her.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
You
Welcome to
bring
Williamson, Olive.
Yay, congratulations. Get her a badge.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Definitely, thank you.
Have a nice evening. I need a motion to approve the SRO agreement between the Wayne County Sheriff's Office and Williamson Central School District, May 1st through December 31st. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the general resolution for the purpose of participating in a cooperative bid coordinated by the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of Ontario, Seneca, Wayne, and Yates counties for various commodities and or services. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve budget transfers for the 2023-2024 school year. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
These transfers are for psych and mental health services through BOCES as well as admin costs through BOCES. And special ed costs and records retention. We received a grant for records retention, but it does include some out-of-pocket costs, so we've been fortunate to receive that grant to help us start the digitalization, saying that right? And start with that program, yeah. So that's what those are for.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, opposed? Passes 5-0. Kelly, do I need to ask for a motion here?
For the section 71?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I need a motion, I'm gonna read it. The Williamson Central School District Board of Education has reviewed the Civil Service Law, Section 71, acknowledgement form dated March 27th, 2024, from Jason Sutton, wherein Mr. Sutton voluntarily and knowingly waived his rights to a hearing and indicated he would not challenge his termination. He hereby determines that Jason Sutton has been absent from his employment with the district for 1 cumulative year as a result of a work-related injury, and that Jason Sutton is not currently able to return to work for the district, and hereby terminates the employment of Jason Sutton pursuant to Civil Service Law, Section 71. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 Williamson Central School District budget in the amount of $28,689,900. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion here? I just want to say thank you to Jeff. I know how hard this is to put together, especially with the uncertainty from the state. So thank you for always so willing and involved to try and get that together without those confirmed numbers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 Williamson Central School District Property Tax Report Card. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion here? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the instructor fees for the adult education spring 2024 semester. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to amend the 2024-2025 school calendar. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is just testing dates, there's no change in attendance dates, just some of the state testing days.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Alright, I'm gonna do these next ones separately. So I'm gonna need a motion to vote yes or no for the following positions. A motion to vote yes or no for President Joe McNamara.
I move that we vote yes for President Joe McNamara.
Do we need to individually vote yes, Kelly, or
They have it on the ballot as all together.
so it's just?
Everybody's running unopposed, I think, right?
Can we do one motion and vote
Yeah,
yes
that's what
for
we've
all of
done in
them?
the last few years, we've done it all together.
Okay, then I move that we vote yes for Joe McNamara as president, Carrie Rush as vice president, Reliant Community Credit Union as the banking depository, and the signatories on the bank accounts, the executive director, the president, vice president, treasurer, and approve the changes to Fort County School Board Association bylaws.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Alright, I need a motion to accept the donation of 25 girls' flag football uniforms by the girls' flag football extracurricular accounts. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion here?
No, just grateful for everybody who helped out to get that.
Very quick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Alright, we're gonna discuss some proposed dates for the next Board of Ed meetings for next year. We should be doing board docs. And Angela and I had a question in January. Can you remind us again why we had a Tuesday meeting?
Because the next day is a Wednesday and that's the Lunar New Year, where students have off. Yeah, that's a new holiday that would require.
Oh, it's a no school day.
Correct. It's a no school day, yes.
Thank you.
March 5th is next Wednesday.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
Do we wanna move that? Okay. Move it to Tuesday? Would that work for you?
I think that's what we did this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday the 4th.
That's good for you, Francis, too? Okay.
Oh, this is Mardi Gras. I'm not.
I think board meeting's okay.
Okay. Everything else look okay?
It did to me.
Yeah.
And we're doing our reorg on Monday,
Yep. We did some more planning today for that day, so that more information will be coming about that day coming up.
Alright. I say, those look good to us.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, I have to have a discussion about the high school student survey that we always do.
So I think they're sophomores this year?
I have a question, do we know what time during the day it will be?
I would say that on your availability and then we'll work.
Oh, okay. I thought you usually pick like a
Well, I
class,
try to
so-
cluster them so it makes sense, in their schedule, but, I think it's gonna be too big to try to do that without that. Or do it afterwards.
We usually do like,
Yeah, right, but then I there's times where it has worked out where it's longer day based on the schedule, so that's the only reason I asked, because like, are we talking half day, whole day?
So we should probably just start looking at.
So I would say I personally would pick Tuesday or Friday, the 14th or the 24th.
I'll say the 13th.
Of those days.
I can do 13th or 14th.
I can do 13th or 14th.
So we got 14th in the running.
I would say not the 13th.
Monday's first week.
I should have covered that Monday.
We're free Monday.
I'm gonna have difficulty with any of the dates, just given my work schedule right now, but I will do my best. I have some things I just cannot rearrange this program. So I guess I'll leave it up to the rest of the group to pick.
I'll still try, sounds like the 15th.
Sounds like the 14th.
Yeah.
I'm tied up until mid-June, so that's.
Yeah.
Does the 14th work for you?
It does, yep.
And I will do my best, even if I can pop in for part of it in between the sessions.
We usually do all day.
Yeah, and if you're
it's up
doing
there.
a lot of virtual meetings, we can find a space for you so you can do them.
That's what I did when we,
I will actually be in those executives, so. Do you have a preference on group size, that will determine how long?
we split it, we
Classes
usually
last
split,
year,
if there's
right?
four, if there's
You
at
were
least
in
four of us,
little
we can
ones.
split into two smaller groups.
Because there's 80-ish in the class. Yeah, 20.
Kelly, we put that in our calendars. Thank you. I will also send, in case you wanna like tweak any questions.
Yeah, can you send us our
Yep.
survey? Thank you.
Anything else about the student survey?
And then, like usual, if anything comes up that day that we don't wanna wait until the summertime to discuss, we can just run it by you real quickly.
I will be close, so you can run it by
Mike, you're on.
Thanks, everyone. Alright, and then lastly, just note about budget transfers. Two of them, anything projected
No,
to-
yeah, just typical, I think, informational.
Anybody have any questions? Upcoming district committee meetings. Buildings and Grounds Committee is tomorrow, and then another assessment committee meeting on May 6th.
There's also a parks meeting tomorrow that I'm going to.
Parks. Thank you.
What time is that?
7 p.m.
Is that the lodge or?
Yes.
And then upcoming district events. There's the new superintendent reception tomorrow at 5 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. Tri-M Prism concert directly following, that's at 7 p.m., one of my favorite
Yeah,
concerts.
it's a great show.
It's awesome. The middle and high school report cards available April 19th. High school prom, April 27th at Coloca State Winery.
Isn't it early? Or not really?
No,
Pretty typical. Seems early to me.
before last year's. Years just flying by, that's why. And the grade 4 spring concert is May 7th. And closing items. Do you have any Board of Ed highlights?
I got to visit the agri-science class and the computer skills class, one of the middle school and elementary school this week, and it was great. To talk with the kids and see what they're learning, see how engaged they were in both of those, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah, thanks to Rachel and Georgie for helping with that. We're doing some videos to kind of showcase some of the great stuff going on in the district, and thanks to you guys for being willing to step in and help with some of that too. So we saw a draft of that video today. It looks great, so it'll be going out soon. So thank you, Angela and Francis and Rachel and Georgie for doing that.
got to go
And
back
Angela
to
too.
kindergarten, so that was fun. If you're ever having a bad day, just go back to.
Right.
She got to sit on the carpet.
I did, and I was only able to get up.
I just like to go to the mindfulness room, that's my favorite place. Okay, moving into public comment. Williamson Central School District Board of Ed invites public comment at this time on matters on the agenda at this meeting. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. The Board of Ed is allowed 10 minutes for public comment prior to the adjournment of the meeting. Written remarks may be provided to the board when time expires before our speaker completes their remarks. We ask individuals to state their name and the specific agenda item they wish to address prior to comments and to provide the district clerk with their contact information for purposes No anticipated session, correct? Okay, and I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.